Hello and welcome to the Smart Women in Business podcast. Today I am chatting with Christine Boucher. Christine has worked in the healthcare industry for more than 20 years and transitioned from intensive care nurse to entrepreneur, speaker and corporate health and performance coach in 2013. Christine's purpose is transforming organisations to work productively and cohesively as a team, improving the health of staff and the well-being of business through performance management, health coaching and team building, improving productivity, performance and profitability. Welcome, Christine. I'm very happy to have you here.
Well, that's a mouthful, isn't it? I'm so excited to be here with you, Jane. This is good. It's good fun.
It is good fun. Christine's one of the few people I actually know in real life on these podcasts, so that's pretty fun. I know Christine pretty well. So, yeah. Christine, you've had a really interesting career. So tell me about your business journey, how you came to be in your business where you are.
Okay, so I guess, my business developed, what are we looking for, 5 years in business now. And I was working in the healthcare industry for a long period of time, working in nursing, which I did love, working with people and helping people. But I kind of got to a point where I was really feeling like I wasn't doing the best for my patients, because I would see the same patients come into hospital again and again and again. And what I quickly realized was because they weren't changing their lifestyle. So they were eating unhealthy, they were living sedentary lifestyles, they had a lot of stress on board, which was leading to chronic disease. And they would come into hospital and they'd be sick, and we would be managing their illness, but we weren't sort of managing the underlying triggers as why they were there. We weren't giving them the accountability, the education, the support that they needed. So that's, I guess, what prompted me to sort of move from the end of the spectrum in, disease and hospitalization and medical management to kind of the other end of the spectrum to sort of get to people before they got sick. That was the real, I guess, the why, the desire for me was to help people change that trajectory of their health journey so that they didn't end up in hospital. They didn't end up with, invasive procedures and being medicated and all the trauma that goes with surgery, physically, emotionally, and mentally, but to steer them on that healthier path. So that's really what prompted me into health promotion, disease prevention, working as a health coach, which then led into performance coaching. I started with that one-on-one model, but that quickly kind of led to that one-on-many model because that was a lot more financially viable and I could reach more people in any given time. So that, for me, that's really exciting. And then to find a group within a group, it was sort of a no-brainer just to go into corporate. And so now working with big government organisations and corporate businesses, helping the culture of organisations, the health of individuals, but also the well-being of the organisation and the business. So increasing productivity and efficiency, improving mental health, improving well-being, and then ultimately that improves the well-being of the business with the bottom line. You've got healthy, happy workers who want to be there, then you've got a really good business model and you ultimately make more money in business.
That's fantastic. So it's good to hear it from you. And it's interesting because you talk about that leveraging of and scalability model, which many consultants like you and I are working one-on-one. It's hard to scale a business when you are doing the one-on-one work. So, from when you started in 5 years or so ago, what were the signs for you that it was time to change make those changes to that scalability model? So you cited financial reasons. So where were the signs for you that it was time to change?
Yeah, it was really like, finding, first of all, the clients. I remember when I first opened my business and I put my website out and I sat by the phone thinking it was just going to ring, and it didn't ring. It just didn't ring. And I soon realized I had to go searching for my clients. So it was the time frame of, trying to find my clients, getting the clients signed up, and then delivering the education, the information to help them to make those transition and changes. And I would see great results, but it was consuming so much of my time, effort, and energy ultimately for, you know, a small financial gain. And I thought, this is just not sustainable. I'll be working until I'm 80 to get anywhere. And as I grew in knowledge and confidence, I thought, well, it would be a lot easier and quicker for me just to get a group of people together, and I could still utilize the coaching model, and I still can help them transition through their lives and make improvements in their health and performance, but do it on a larger scale. So it just kind of developed, I think, as I grew more in confidence and the ability to be able to deliver from the one-on-one to one-on-many. And now I'll go into organizations where I'll easily, you know, talk to 50, 70, 80 plus people at any given time. And but, you know, 5 years ago, there's no way I would have been able to do that. So it's just a sort of a general development as I've personally grown and professionally grown to be able to deliver that. And then it makes so much more sense. Obviously, the more people I'm seeing, the more people I can help, and the more money that I'll ultimately make. So it's a healthier business model for my business.
It's interesting that confidence is something that you don't have when you start in business, and you do sit there and think, am I ever going to have clients? And then you look back, I mean, for you 5 years ago, for me 9 years ago, thinking, you know, you just start out and think, oh, I'll just go into business and it'll be fun, and you do have to make an effort to get clients, and you do have to deliver that exceptional customer service to then have the word of mouth referrals and people start talking about you, and have the confidence as well to speak about what you do in a way that, you know, engages your clients. So that's it's interesting that confidence is something that does develop, and you go from, you know, such a newbie to confident to then being able to handpick your clients. So that's something that's happened in my business. So
yeah, for sure. And I think it wasn't just confidence around, you know, delivering my programs, but it was the confidence in particular to have those sales conversations. I remember when I first started in business, coming from a government organisation where a pay packet just went into my bank and I never had to ask my patients for money, but I would deliver. And so for the first time, all of a sudden, I was in this position where I had to go, by the way, you've got to pay me.
yeah.
And I found that really kind of irky in the beginning until I did some sales courses and really understood more about the psychology of selling, and really having the confidence to have those conversations, particularly with the decision maker. Like in our large organizations, it's really about speaking with the right person who's going to make that decision on that sale, and having the confidence to talk about it in the realm of, you know, being an investment and the value add that you're going to deliver, as opposed to, you know, I'm selling and it being that irky thing. For me, my mindset around sales, my confidence around sales really changed, and I noticed that was a really big turning point in my business when I had the confidence and the knowledge around having those sales conversations in particular. That's when I really started to sign bigger contracts and make bigger deals and make more money in business.
Because sales, people say, I don't, you know, I'm not in sales, but if you're in business for yourself, you're always in sales. And that's what you have to be confident, and you have to own your pricing, and you have to say, this is how much it costs, and that's it. But identifying those, it is an investment, and where the benefits are, not just the features. And I talk about that with clients all the time. Don't just sell the thing, sell the outcome. So that's interesting that transition was what helped you to really grow your business. So I know you have 2 gorgeous children. How do you manage your life as an entrepreneur? You have a very busy life, I know that.
Yeah, it's certainly a juggle. So I got 2 little redheads, 10 and 11, that keep me on my toes, and I'm a single mum, and I'm studying my master's in business, and I'm doing a leadership program, and I'm running my own business, and so it's pretty full on. So I think what's really important for me that I really conscientiously follow is maintaining my health and well-being, because without your health and well-being, you know, when you're lacking in energy or you're overwhelmed and you're stressed out, all the sort of pieces start to sort of fall apart. So, you know, I have a really strict routine in the morning. I go for a walk, I do my yoga, I do my meditation, I drink lots of water every day. It keeps my energy levels up. You know, I eat a good healthy diet, and I manage my stress through different techniques that work for me. And I find that that is the pinnacle of keeping on top of everything in a busy woman's life. Like, I know so many women that are in a similar situation. They're just busy. We're busy people with so much going on. So, you know, keeping on top of your health and well-being is probably number one. And number two is time management. So I'll try to group things into blocks. Like, I'll do batch cooking on a Sunday. So I've got meals to go all week. So just pull something out of the freezer. If I'm doing videoing or something in business, I'll do it all at the same time. Or if I'm writing a blog, I'll try to get a couple done at once. Or my marketing material, you know, I'll put out at least a month's worth of marketing schedule all at once, so that I'm really focused on the task at hand. So I'm not jumping from one thing to a next, because it takes us quite a bit of time for our brain to acknowledge we're in this task, and then to move on to that task. We waste a lot of time. So when you batch, you're a lot better in efficiency wise and performance wise, because you're concentrating on the task at hand, and then you schedule and you get that whole task done for a month or a week, you know, whatever that task is. So I think health and time management are probably the two important things that help me keep on top of everything, so to speak. But of course, there's times when, you know, things fall through the cracks.
It happens. That's life. But
yeah.
Health is often the number one thing that takes the back burner when you're in business, because you're so busy doing all the things you have to do that you go, I'll do that later. So
yeah, and it's
is so important.
It's interesting because, like so many businesses that I work with, that is, as you said, put on the back burner because they're too busy. But when you think about, I always use this example, like when you're on an aeroplane and the air stewardess says to you, you know, the plane's starting to go down, the oxygen mask falls, put the oxygen mask on yourself before your child. You know, it's a natural instinct to want to help someone else to do something else. But if you're not breathing, if you're not well, you are going to be useless to everything and everyone around you. And I use that in my talks and workshops in large workplaces, because it is, you know, our health and well-being is priority number one. Because if we're lethargic, if we're, you know, got mental health issues, if we're stressed, if we're overweight, if we've got any chronic disease, you know, those sort of things are going to impact upon how we show up, how we perform at work, what amount of just, you know, quantity as well as quality of work can get done within an organisation. And it's really interesting to see, after I've worked with an organisation for a period of time and concentrated on the health and well-being of the individuals, but as well as the overall organisational cultural health, how that does affect the bottom line. You see the profit margins going up, you see the bottom line going up, you see the performance going up, you can see the return of investment that they've made in me and my education for them improve. And for me, that's really satisfying to see those results come to fruition.
And it's when you are in business and people go, I don't need to exercise or I don't eat well, if you're even remotely doing anything that's going to affect your immune system or not keep you in the best of health, even a cold can take you out for a week. And can you afford to take a week out? If you're too busy to exercise, you definitely can't afford to have a week off with a cold. So trying to eat really well for me and drink lots of water and exercise is and mental health as well is so important. So
yeah,
what does a great day in the office look like to you?
A great day.
A great day.
Oh,
how's a great day look?
I guess, again, my great day, as this morning, you know, the sun's shining, it started off with a walk around the lake. meditation by the lake's edge, some deep breathing. It grounds me and it kind of clears my mind for the day to sort of set my day and agenda ahead. Come back into home, I get the kids off to school, everything runs smoothly. That always starts a great day. There's no problem
Where's your
getting out the
shoes?
door. Yeah, right. And then it's just I try to do the hard tasks first things. Some of the things that I still don't like, and that I still need to do in my business, some cold calling and following up, those sort of things, chasing down new leads. Always try to get that done first thing in the morning so it's just done. I don't know if you heard this. It's the 80-20 rule. It's just like, there's a couple of things that you do in your day that's going to give you the best and the biggest results. And they might not be one or two things, but that's going to give you the best results. So for me, it's like making those new contacts, networking, give me the best results. And then it's just, it depends on the day. My day there's sort of no routine, but a day in the office is getting as much paperwork, marketing, cold calling, emailing, invoicing, all the just sort of the basic paperwork stuff. My preference is to be out of the office. A great day in the office is actually out of the office. When I'm in an organization, I'm in front of a big group of people, I'm starting my stuff and chatting about what's so important, and my underlying passion is health and well-being. That's a good day out of the office.
Out of the office, quite literally changing people's lives. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Are there any tools or apps or any special methods you use to help you be more productive? You've talked about batching. Are there any other tools that you use within that to help you do that?
I'm currently looking at building some software. I utilize some software at the moment just to keep on top of measurements for large quantities of people, so that I can see and then I can demonstrate, to the decision maker at the middle and end point of a contract, the improvements that we've made, the return on investment that they've achieved, to enable me to sort of say, look, we've made a difference here. And I find that's really useful and powerful, because then I continue to get ongoing work with these organisations when they can see that we're saving them money, or they can see that their staff are being a lot more productive and efficient. So I do use a software tool, but I'm looking at building a bigger tool to demonstrate that more clearly than I currently am. And I think just some other basic tools around, I love scheduling on, social media, that sort of thing. As I said, you can just do it that day and then it goes out in future time. And sometimes you forget and then something will pop up and go, oh, that was me.
Oh, that's right. I posted that. Yeah. I scheduled that 2 weeks ago. I forgot about that. Right. So you're talking about data modelling, big data modelling.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's so beyond.
It is. There's a lot involved, but I just want to be able to show particularly visuals, and to be able to, just have my laptop and go, hey, look at this, look at this, how we've improved so much. So everything's a little bit clunky at this point. I'm showing that, but it's sort of hard copy. I want to be able to have a more seamless flow on digital, so it's all just there quite visually.
I love data. It's and it's that, having that hard and fast, not subjective, put it in front of people, this is what we've achieved, it is really super rewarding. So
yeah, and I think it's important to be able to quantify, those measurements to see, so they can visually see the benefits they're getting. And sometimes, in some realms that's difficult to do. But, when you can particularly show the return of investment, or a large organisation I was just recently working with, the return on investment was tenfold. Wow. And once I was able to show them that, they really started to realise how important the investment in me was, and they've gone and signed up for another 12 months. So with just that one little bit of data, got me another year's work. So
yay!
It works.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
So one of the things I have encountered with most of the people I know in business is imposter syndrome, or those negative feelings. So how do you respond to the bad days of being in business, and what are your methods for overcoming the bumps in the road, which are inevitable, of being in business?
Yeah, absolutely. I just think it's important to honor it, to acknowledge it and honor it. You know, I had a day about 2 weeks ago where I really hurt my hip. I was in a lot of pain, and I was just feeling crap, and I didn't want to work. I just didn't want to sit at my desk with a sore hip and do the work. So I said to myself, well, I'll just ask the boss for the day off. So I asked the boss, and the boss said, yeah, you know what? You deserve a day off. You're in pain. You're not feeling up to it. So just rest. And it was probably the best thing that I could have done. It was like I made that decision, and I honored how I was feeling, and I gave my body the rest that it needed. So I think that's what's really important, is to, you know, some people I know in business will just push and push and push to the detriment of their own health and well-being. And as we were discussing earlier, when your health starts to decline or you're not having the energy, it's going to be more problematic down the track. So it's really important to acknowledge, recognize, honor that issue that you're having, and give yourself the time just to rest and recuperate. If I sat at my desk that day with a sore hip, I would have been very, very unproductive, and I wouldn't have got anything done. So it was better just to rest, and then when I was ready to go back to work and get back into it.
Yeah. And sometimes you just need what we call mental health days, just a day off. Just lie on the couch and watch Netflix, and do what, if you're unwell, do what you would do in a normal job, in a conventional job. Have a day off if you're not feeling good. So it is hard because you are so reliant on yourself, but you do need to give yourself that time. Or as you said, it can just be to the detriment of, you know, instead of having one day off now, it could be a week off in the future. So we've touched briefly on your purpose. So what's your why? What keeps you motivated in your business?
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm actually reading the book Start With Your Why, Simon Sinek, at the moment. And it is so important, I believe, to really understand your why, because that's your intrinsic motivator. That's your reason for getting up in the morning and doing what you do, and you know, dealing with all those really difficult times in business. It's when you look at your why, what ignites that fire in your belly, and you know, gets that spark going. It's what releases the dopamine to take the actions to do the job. So when I have trialing times, I go back to my why am I doing this? Sometimes I ask myself this question: why am I doing this?
What am I here for?
And the underlying reason as to why I do what I do is, again, you know, when I worked in that healthcare industry for 20 plus years, and seeing people so sick and so unwell, and invasive procedures, and that, you know, the heartache of the family sitting around holding their loved one's hands, unsure if they would make it through the surgery or the, you know, the disease or whatever was transpiring at that time. You know, for me, it was so frustrating. It was so frustrating that I couldn't do more, that I couldn't help more. And I just felt there has to be more. There has to be another way. And so that's what's pulled me out of that, you know, that nursing, and put me in that health promotional space. So that's my why. I always remember those patients that I was working with for so long, and lots of patients that I lost. And if I can change someone's life, if I can change the trajectory of someone's health journey and keep them out of hospital and keep them well and keep them healthy and keep them alive, then for me, that's really rewarding. So that's essentially my underlying why. And I go back to remembering that when, you know, paperwork's piling up and things are getting shitty, I'm like, yeah, I've got to save some lives.
I'm going to go out and save lives. That's so powerful, though. That's this incredibly powerful reason for being in business. And to go back to that earlier stage where that you could have had some intervention and prevented them from being in that end stage that's really powerful. So thank you for sharing that. So what are your top I don't know, pick a number, 3 tips for all the smart women in business across Australia and the world to help them enjoy being in business?
Oh, top 3 tips. Definitely number 1 is prioritize your health. As we said before, without your health, you're going to be unproductive and you're going to be useless in business. It's number 1. Look after yourself, drink at least 2 litres of water a day. It helps to keep your energy up. Eat healthy, exercise regularly, look after that mental health, figure out what works for you around stress management, get a good night's sleep. So important to get at least 7-8 hours a night. If we don't, we're just feeling lethargic and we're just unproductive.
I'm so committed to sleeping.
Yeah, love my sleep. So that's number 1, look after your health and well-being. 2 is basically probably around time management. So if you can block, if you can batch, if you can, do things in bulk together, it's going to save you a lot of time in the long run. And that's in both personal and business. And number 3, I think, like we were talking before, is just honor yourself when you're not feeling well. If you're not feeling physically well, if you're not feeling mentally well, just honor that and take the day off.
Thank you. Well, that is the end of our chat, Christine. I will put links to Christine's website in the show notes so you can learn more about what Christine does. And I really appreciate you talking to me today, Christine.
Yeah, that was cool, Jane. Thanks for having me.
We'll do it again. We'll have a 12-month catch-up.
All right, sounds good.
Okay, thanks.
All right.
Bye.